What to know about Super Tuesday and why it matters. Congressional leaders invite Prime Minister of Japan to address Congress in April. Air Force employee charged with sharing classified info on Russia's war with Ukraine on dating site. Today is Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, and this is the Dunkley Report, political news. Super Tuesday is traditionally the biggest day nationwide for primary elections and caucuses before the actual election day in November. Until now, only one or two primaries or caucuses have been on the same day. This Tuesday, voters in 16 different states will be choosing who they want to run for president. Some states are also choosing who should run for governor or senator for their state, and some district attorneys too. More than one-third of the total delegates available in both the Republican and Democratic presidential primaries will be awarded on Super Tuesday, when 16 states and one territory hold presidential nominating contests. On the Republican side, 854 of 2,429 will be at stake on Super Tuesday, which is traditionally the biggest day on the presidential primary calendar when it comes to the number of states holding presidential primaries and caucuses, as well as the number of delegates in play. Democrats will award 1,120 delegates. Congressional leaders have invited the Prime Minister of Japan, Fumio Kishida, to address a joint meeting of Congress on April 11th. The leaders in their invitations say the relationship between the U.S. and Japan has proven to be a force for good and a catalyst for prosperity. Joint meetings are typically held to hear an address from foreign dignitaries. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the invitation is laying the foundation for collaboration in the years to come, while Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the visit would build on the strength of decades of cooperation. The Justice Department says a civilian U.S. Air Force employee has been charged in federal court in Nebraska with transmitting classified information about Russia's war with Ukraine on a foreign online dating platform. David Franklin Slater was arrested Saturday on charges of illegally disclosing national defense information and conspiring to do so. Authorities say the 63-year-old Slater retired as an Army lieutenant colonel and was assigned to the U.S. Strategic Command at Offutt Air Force Base. Prosecutors say Slater attended briefings between February and April 2022 about Russia's war with Ukraine and shared details about military targets and Russian capabilities on an online messaging platform with an unindicted co-conspirator who claimed to be a woman living in Ukraine. South Dakota Senator John Thune is entering the race to be the next Republican leader of the U.S. Senate after Senator Mitch McConnell steps away from the post in November. Thune is currently the number 2 Senate Republican. He said in an interview with South Dakota's Kiloland News that, "I hope to be the next leader and will do everything he can to convince his colleagues to support him." His announcement sets up an expected race with Texas Senator John Cornyn, who held the number 2 leadership post until he was term limited 5 years ago. Other senators may also jump into the contest. Donald Trump's lawyers are warning that a gag order sought by New York prosecutors ahead of his March 25th hush-money criminal trial would amount to unconstitutional and unlawful prior restraint on the former president's free speech rights. Trump's lawyers urged Judge Juan Manuel Merchan on Monday to reject the request. Prosecutors said it was prompted by Trump's long history of making public and inflammatory remarks about people in his legal cases and a spike in threats tied to his rhetoric. They sought last week to bar Trump from making public statements about witnesses, jurors, and others involved in the case. Trump's lawyers say such an order would hinder his ability to respond to public attacks. Candidates on the verge of winning their party's nominations generally change their messaging as part of a so-called pivot. Not Donald Trump. The former president is instead doubling down on often incendiary rhetoric that offends wide swaths of voters. That's even as some of his most loyal allies have suggested he shift his focus. His advisors say they are pivoting the mechanics of their campaign. But they're not trying to tell Trump to change what he says. Says one senior advisor, Chris Lasavita, "Our job is not to remake Donald Trump." Thank you for joining us here at the Dunkley Report, Political News. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest breaking stories.